Well, we're going to have fun today. We're going to learn today that more than half of the LGBTQ community is bisexual and only 25% are gay men.
Huh, what?
Stuns me.
Wow.
Stuns me.
Are you sure that's accurate?
Well, the biggest study ever.
Only a quarter is gay men?
Only 20%.
Or is men? That doesn't surprise me.
Really?
I mean, because I think that a lot of people have often said like that women are more gender fluid or more fluid with their sexuality than men.
It surprises me. Also, what shocks me is Gen Zers are 8 times as likely to be identified in the LGBTQ community as baby boomers. That's amazing.
The walls have come down.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It's 7 p.m. Wednesday, February 24, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight. The world's first live daily queer evening news show. Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight. Well, thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is a live, unedited LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it. This evening, we bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ community from South Florida, America, and across our world. I'm your Queer News Tonight anchor, Al Ferguson. Tonight, let's welcome anchor Faye What? She's out, she's proud, and she's most certainly loud. She's a Latina to be reckoned with, half Puerto Rican, half Colombian, and 100% freaking Jersey. She is a radio personality and has the popular blog and YouTube channel called Faye What? Aiming to unite the L and the G together, she's a hostess and MC for many South Florida events, a board member of Unity Coalition, as well as host of the new show UC TV, an animal advocate and owner of Faye's Fur Family, and is anchor of the new news travel show Happening Out Travel. So good evening, Faye.
Good evening. Hola, mi gente. As every Monday and Wednesday, I'm happy to be here.
Exactly. And let's next welcome anchor Orlando Gonzalez. He is the executive director for SAVE, Safeguarding American Values for Everyone, recognized as South Florida's longest serving organization dedicated to protecting people who are LGBTQ against discrimination. In his current role, Orlando works to advance SAVE's mission to promote, protect, and defend equality for LGBTQ people in South Florida, with public service always being an integral part of his life. Good evening, Orlando.
Al, good evening, Faye. It's great to be with you both.
Going to have an interesting show tonight. Tonight we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Wednesday, February 24. We begin by queering up the world. The Organization of American States, O.A.S. Commission, issues a landmark ruling against Jamaica's sodomy law. The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, in a landmark decision, said Jamaica must repeal its colonial-era sodomy law that criminalizes consensual same-sex sexual relations. Human Dignity Trust, a London-based human rights organization, in 2011 filed the case with the Commission on behalf of Gareth Henry, a gay man, and Simon Caroline Edwards, a lesbian woman. J-Flag, a Jamaican LGBTQ advocacy group, was also named as a plaintiff. The co-founder of J-Flag, Brian Williamson, was murdered in this process. The commission reached its decision on September 28, 2019, but did not release it until this week. The commission said, quote, "The criminalization of private sexual consensual activity between adults violates the principle of equality and non-discrimination, the right to privacy, and the right to humane treatment," end quote. Henry said 4 police officers on February 14, 2007 beat him at a pharmacy in front of a mob, and the commission's decision notes, quote, was chasing other gay men and chanting that gay people must be killed, end quote. The ruling further notes, police officers on the same day, quote, showed up at his home and threatened him, end quote. Human Rights Trust notes the ruling is the first time ever the Commission has ruled a law that criminalizes consensual same-sex sexual conduct, violates the rights of LGBTQ people. It adds the decision creates an important legal precedent that can be used to challenge sodomy laws in other Caribbean countries. Tia Braun, Human Rights Trust Director, said, quote, this is a major legal victory for Gareth, Simone, and the entire LGBTQ community in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean, where 9 countries continue to criminalize consensual same-sex intimacy. It is a highly significant step forward that must now accelerate to repeal of these stigmatizing and discriminatory laws, end quote. The Jamaican government Justice Minister Delroy Chuck told a Jamaican newspaper in response that the ruling is, quote, not binding on a sovereign state, end quote. Continue to watch this LGBTQ space.
You know what gets me is that it took them a year and a half from when this happened to bring us this decision. I mean, like, how crazy is that? You know, yes, Jamaica is pointing in the right direction, but man, you guys are atrasado, like, to the fullest, you know? And let's talk about these other countries that are also, that also criminalize sodomy into, you know, between same gender. Antigua, Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica, St. Kitts, all these beautiful places that I will not step one foot.
And it's a total shame. I think that most of these islands, their primary economy is tourism. And so they're missing out on tons of business. And so if anything, they've got a business decision to make and a human rights decision to make. So they got to get with it because there's a lot of gay tourists out there, or LGBTQ tourists out there to come to the islands if they were only more welcoming. So it's sad to know this.
It's an outstanding point. I would be remiss if I did not indicate that I have been involved in tourism to the Caribbean. I have brought thousands of LGBT Americans to the island of Jamaica. My philosophy always was that we change attitudes inside by bringing them from the outside.
Hearts and minds.
I understand exactly what the issue here is and what Faye just represented. It's time, however, for these laws to change, and this is the best way to change the attitudes on Jamaica.
Time's up. Yep.
Next, let's queer up entertainment. Are you a homosexual? Here are some of the best moments to challenge your homerness. Watch this.
Executive. Oh, Marge, every woman I interview for the secretary job makes kissy faces at me.
Hello, Mr. Simpson. I'm Carl.
He sounds good. Hire him.
You don't belong here.
Huh?
You don't belong here. You're a fraud and a phony, and it's only a matter of time until they find you out. Let's go shopping. A man's suit should make him feel like a prince. It should cry out to the world, here I am. Don't judge me, love me.
Do any of these suits do that?
No. Woo!
I like this.
It sounds like everything has arrived.
You did this?
Yes, sir. I hope I didn't overstep my bounds.
I love you, Homer.
I love you, Carl. Marge.
Let's go shopping! Are you a homosexual? Here are some of the best moments to challenge that, okay? So Harvey Feinstein was just one of hundreds of LGBTQ characters, jokes, and more that are part of the longest running television show in history. So we ask, are you busy for the next 2+ hours? If not, why not review every gay or queer joke from the first 32 years of The Simpsons? Yes, I said 32 years. We will all run out of lockdown quarantine binges eventually, right? So maybe it's time to see if you're a homosexual. The classic animated sitcom has aired nonstop over the last 5 decades, and satire of LGBTQ people or LGBTQ topics have been part of the show nearly since the start in 1989. For example, the show's well-known, longtime closeted character, Waylon Smithers, who officially came out in 2016, made his first reference to his sexuality in the 8th episode of the show, The Telltale Head. So Drew Mackey of the Gayest Episode Ever podcast decided to sit down and put them all together. At Queer News Tonight, we asked, why? Mackey says, quote, I figured that if anyone should put one together, it should be the co-host of Gayest Episode Ever, a podcast about LGBT-focused episodes of classic sitcoms, end quote. So over the last year, Mackie scoured every episode of the show's already completed 31 seasons and encompassed any joke or reference that he noticed in the 684 episodes. Although the show did depict homophobia regularly, it was far from completely mocking LGBTQ people, especially as time progressed. In fact, one 1997 episode deals with Homer's homophobic ways when John Waters stops by Springfield. The episode, which came months before Ellen DeGeneres came out, was nearly blocked by the network from airing due to censors. The entire 2-hour summary of Homersexual can be viewed on YouTube.
I love The Simpsons, and I think that just to think that it's this remarkably large collection in and of itself, and then there's a large collection of a segmented LGBTQ sort of series of episodes is just wild. So I love this, and I also love especially that it has evolved over time with how we have progressed. So well done to The Simpsons. I love them, and can't stop laughing at them.
Absolutely true, and got to give a shout out to Drew Mackey from Gayest Episode Ever for you to put this collection together. Child, you have too much time on your hands. Just too much time. But thank you for doing it.
Shouldn't you be on Grindr, sir? I
Yeah.
mean, come on, don't you have something else to be doing right now? No, but thank you. Thank
Exactly.
you.
And second, I just want to make note that as The Simpsons started this in '89 and through their progression, we report at Queer News Tonight all kinds of animated programs that are incorporating LGBT themes and characters today as groundbreaking, when The Simpsons did it 4 decades ago. Now, you cannot like some of the stereotypical jokes that they did, but they were trailblazers for us, and they were setting the seeds of acceptance that we experience today.
Well, and one of my favorite episodes has to be the one with John Waters. And it's like, okay, if he can't explain gay to you, nobody can, you know, Homer? So, and something else that I read when I was doing research on this story was that they are planning on having some kind of trans visibility in the future. I mean, these guys are trailblazers. You can say whatever you want, but their evolution is wonderful to watch.
Yeah,
I love it.
excellent.
I absolutely love it. So next up, let's queer up politics. Republicans have launched a shameless bid to protect hate speech in schools. Republican Senator Amy Sinclair introduced a Senate Study Bill 1205, which would bar K-12 public schools and public universities in Iowa from rolling out any anti-bias training or promoting divisive concepts in the name of the First Amendment. The latter covers racism and sexism, but it also seeks to ban discussions on institutional racism, unconscious bias, and the notion that the state of Iowa is fundamentally racist or sexist. The bill would also protect unwelcome, disagreeable, or even offensive speech, which would include hateful slurs or derogatory language. After passing through the Iowa Education Subcommittee, of which Sinclair is the chair, it will now go before the state's Republican-controlled Senate. The bill is a carbon copy of Trump's banned executive order. Former President Donald Trump sought to put this in place as an executive order which would ban anti-bias training within the executive departments and agencies, the U.S. military, federal contractors, and federal grant recipients. The order would have outlawed education on divisive concepts that cause discomfort, guilt, and anguish to its subjects. The bill also would have removed race or sex scapegoating, including materials teaching that men and members of certain races are inherently sexist and racist. But a federal court issued an injunction against Trump's executive order, preventing it from going into law. The court said that the ban on anti-bias training violated the First and the Fifth Amendment rights of the federal contractors and employees because it infringed on their free speech, disfavoring them based on the content of their speech and providing inadequate notice of the conduct it purports to prohibit.
This is blatantly a violation of the Constitution, blatantly. Just like the issue of sexual identification applied to the Trump policies on trans and the military, etc. This very, very likely is going to be struck down with no changes in the federal policy that is coming from the Equality Act or the Supreme Court. So the states are going to lose. The one big issue of the reporting of this is going on in Republican red states all over the country. This is exactly why When we as LGBT America sit and think we've arrived, we haven't. It's why we must stand up and support organizations like Orlando Represents, SAVE, and Equality Florida, and National Task Force, and the HRC. These organizations are vitally important. They're wounded animals in these state houses, and we have never needed our advocacy organizations more than we need today.
I can't with the story, boys. Yes, I called you boys. Enjoy that. I can't with the story, guys. Like Iowa, like, okay, they're basically teaching their children how to hate, right? If you're not telling them what we did in the past and how to not repeat what maybe our state has done, then you are teaching them how to hate. I got an idea. Trump, leave Florida and go move to Iowa. They will welcome you with open arms, Cheeto head.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys are absolutely right. These are coordinated efforts. When I was reporting this, I mentioned that this was a carbon copy. Every one of these efforts, right? The opponents of our community create one template, and then they shop it around to all their buddies across the United States. And of course, there are very common suspects here in who takes up these pieces of legislation, and then they put them forward for discussion and for vote. It's amazing where they gain traction. To me, it's always one of those things where it's like, these are the usual suspects, but every once in a while, one of them will sort of be, a standout. And so these continue to be out there, and they are carbon copies. There's no original thinking. It all comes from the same place.
Yeah. Support our advocacy organizations.
Thank you, Al.
Next, let's queer up gay culture. A very interesting new report from Grindr, polling 10,000 users about love and sex during the pandemic. A recent survey by the gay dating app and hookup app Grindr found love and sex are surviving the global pandemic. No surprise there. And that quarantine with an added emphasis of wellness does surprise us. Grindr asked 10,000 users in the United States, United Kingdom, Mexico, Brazil, and India how their behavior and expectations have changed since the start of the pandemic. The results showed while some gay men are still hooking up while in quarantine, most have minimized risk by turning instead to virtual hookups and porn. And an overwhelming majority have focused more on their own mental and physical well-being, as well as using the time in lockdown for some personal introspection. Significant findings according to the Grindr survey included 69% of the men said they've watched more porn while in quarantine. And I won't turn and look at Orlando at this moment. 64% are trying to find new socially distant ways to meet up with other gay men. 48% said they had had virtual hookups. 31% revealed they've hooked up while wearing a mask. And a full 59% said that their sex drive has actually increased while in lockdown. Perhaps more significant, though, are the changing attitudes about the desire and attraction to another. 58% said they are now more interested in a long-term relationship, and a full 67% said that personality is more important than in pre-pandemic times. One silver lining in the dark cloud of the global pandemic is a renewed and heightened focus of well-being, with 86% saying that they are focusing on mental health and have been more supportive and understanding of others during the pandemic. The least surprising aspect of the survey is that 63% of the gay men surveyed plan to make up for lost time by hooking up more than usual after the pandemic runs its course. And I'm not going to turn and look at Orlando.
You're not. You're not. Okay. All I kept on thinking was a porn with people wearing their masks. I'm sorry, I got stuck on that, like for real. And didn't we just tell a story about Grindr that they were selling all our data? I mean, not ours, like I'm not on Grindr, only you boys are on Grindr. You know what I mean, right? And so now they need like a feel-good story, and this is it right here. The part that got me was the 59%, their sex drive increased. Like, what were you doing watching Tiger King and you got all hot and bothered? Like, wow, these numbers are incredible.
Yeah, the lesbian at the table is surprised.
That's right. That's right. Well, there's this other contradiction, right? So there's the 58% who want to be in long-term relationships when they come out of the pandemic. But if you talk to people who are, with significant others, like during the pandemic, they're like, I'm going to kill my partner. Like, so be careful what you ask for, right? Be careful what you get, because you'll need a little bit of balance of distancing yourself from your significant LTR.
Yeah. My observation is no comment.
No. Next, we queer up the USA. Record numbers as more young people than ever identify as LGBTQ. More young people are out than ever before, and most people who identify as LGBTQ+ are attracted to more than one gender, according to new data. A Gallup study released yesterday by Gallup found that 5.6% of the U.S. population now identifies as LGBTQ+, up from 4.5% in 2017. Jeff Jones, a senior editor of the poll, said that the jump was driven by adult people ages 18 to 23. 1 in 6 adult members of Generation Z, born from 1997 to 2002, identified themselves as LGBTQ+, which Jones said was nearly twice the rate of millennials, and certainly much larger than older generations. Just over 1% of people born before 1946 said they were LGBTQ+. Jones said, quote, I think there's, along with greater acceptance, a greater willingness to identify yourself that way than maybe in the past, end quote. But we don't know how much of that is contributing as opposed to just becoming something that's more common in the population. The study revealed people over the age of 18, 54.6% of LGBTQ+, identified as bisexual. Just under 25% said they were gay, while a little over 11% reported they were lesbian or transgender. Only 3.3% identified themselves in other categories like queer or same-gender loving. Nearly 8% declined to answer at all. This new study may prove to be groundbreaking in identifying the LGBT community.
Well, if anything, I think that what we are definitely seeing is that greater acceptance leads to more people coming out at a younger age, right? The walls of the closet are coming down. People are choosing to self-express themselves, say who they are, be totally authentic. And I think that's really beautiful. Now, I think that there's also a lot going on in terms of people also not living a binary world. It's not just about being gay or lesbian, but they're choosing, to be really who they are authentically. And so we're seeing a little bit more of all the colors of the rainbow come out, including all of the letters of our community.
This report is just happening. This is really breaking news. It happened today. But I'm telling you, from my seat, this is going to have groundbreaking results, especially in business and politics, because a larger section of our community is going to be identified as LGBTQ. What this is proving is that many more people are LGBT that are LGBTQ that would admit it before. Right. And in their comfort, they're finding that we are willing to stand up and say we're a member of this community. There's growth in the total number. There is dramatic growth in identification of bisexual. And the most significant number in this report is that in baby boomers, of which I am one, only 2% of baby boomers identify as LGBT, while Gen Zers, 16% of all Gen Zers in America are identifying as LGBT. That is remarkable. It is triple the number that we assume is LGBT in the United States. And that will have dramatic effects on taxing and districts and business and advertising and politics. Dramatic news that is just starting today.
Amazing. And one part of the study that did not surprise this lesbian was the high percentage of bisexual. Because back in, 2010, I was bisexual for like 4 months, right? And, and it was a safe place to be, so I can understand how that is. This is definitely going to help our community in a big, big way. Look at us being counted.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So let's switch gears and let's queer up South Florida. Latinos Salud, its unique gala event that is going to be held as a hybrid live event and digital, will be held really soon. Our LGBTQ news partner, South Florida Gay News, on an interesting charity event here in South Florida. Latino Salud is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization that serves the LGBTQ community in HIV and other health services. The event will happen on Saturday, February 27th at 7 p.m. The organization will host their most important fundraising event of the year called From Social Bubbles to Community, a blended gala event. The phrase blended gala caught the attention of our Queer News Tonight. This unique platform in pandemic will be held in 3 locations in South Florida as a live, socially distanced event. The fundraising event will also be held online, and Opening Out Television Network is a sponsor of the fundraiser, where you can get your ticket, and every dollar raised is matched dollar for dollar through the South Florida AIDS Walk. And a generous match contribution will be made from one of the greatest LGBTQ corporate supporters, which is the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. The gala will be emceed by the Emmy Award-winning reporter Stephen McLaughlin and will feature Eli Zamora from The Voice and Johnny Manuel from America's Got Talent. Featured sponsors to make this unique blended gala, featured sponsors who are making this gala possible include Vita Pharmacy, Gilead, Janssen Infectious Diseases, and Tito's Vodka. Everyone here at Queer News Tonight encourages you to join Latino Salud, the blended gala, either in person or online. So tickets are available at latinosalud.org/gala 2021.
Latino Salud, great organization in South Florida. I love the fact that AHF is making such a commitment in terms of its contributions to the AIDS Walk, and that basically it's a buy one, get one free. Support this gala, because every dollar that you do in ticket purchase or other things that you make in donation is matched by AHF. It's a buy one, get one free. It's a no-brainer for our community, and we thank AHF for their generous support of what they're doing for the LGBTQ community.
Make sure that you guys go and support this gala. You know, Latino Salud is known for having incredible galas in the past, like very kick-ass galas. And Miguel was on our show a couple days ago, and he let us know, he said that they're not pulling any punches, that there will be nothing left, that it would be fun, fun, fun. Yes, COVID safe, but that it's going to be exceptional. So go get your ticket today.
Absolutely, and really I want to appreciate the work that Latino Salud does. We know that some of the most vulnerable populations, which are Black and brown people, are heavily impacted by the HIV pandemic still today, or HIV epidemic still today. And so the support that you give to this organization directly targets a big problem that we have in our community, which is to really help end the HIV pandemic.
Absolutely.
Epidemic.
Well, that is our queer headlines for today, so let's catch up on the LGBTQ news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment we call Quarantine Quickies. Tonight we report on the devastating effect that coronavirus continues to have on the American and worldwide LGBTQ community in total cases and deaths. Tonight we report that more than 2 million LGBTQ Americans have now contracted COVID-19, and more than 36,000 LGBTQ Americans have died from coronavirus. In a bright spot, as of today, more than 65 million doses have been administered in the United States. And that's our COVID-19 news for tonight. Next, we report that Happening Out Television Network helps support our LGBTQ community. An example is Sunshine Cathedral. This is the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set in supporting that partnership, and the network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ religious broadcast in the world, with more than 30,000 watching every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and it's totally live. We encourage you to tune in. Our campaign of sponsorship proudly supports Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church. Watch this.
Music Ministry Artist in Residence.
Similar stuff videographer.
Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
We'd also like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living here in Fort Lauderdale, for making this set in this amazing queer church campus possible.
Finally, we thank Queer News Tonight's hotel sponsor, Best Western I-95, Fort Lauderdale. This is the closest and best choice to the famous Wilton Drive, and our hosts and guests stay here at the LGBTQ ally partner. We encourage you to stay here when you visit South Florida.
Well, next at Happening Television Network, we aggressively support our local and national LGBTQ 501c3s, not-for-profits. Tonight, we are excited to discuss Pride Fort Lauderdale, one of the largest Pride events in America and the oldest Pride celebration in Florida. To talk about what is happening next for Pride Fort Lauderdale is their Executive Director, Kevin J. Clevenger. He's the former Director of the Development for the Smart Ride and former Events and Fundraising Coordinator for the Pavarello Center, as well as a previous tour manager for the United States Air Force, and now is the current Executive Director of Pride Fort Lauderdale. Welcome, Kevin, to Queer News Tonight.
Hi, thanks for having me, Al.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here tonight. We're obviously big supporters. One of my favorite things that I've done in the last 3 years was the broadcast of the Pride Fort Lauderdale Parade. The first time they went to the beach, and it was so much fun sitting next to Dean Trentellis, the mayor of Fort Lauderdale. It was an amazing Pride Parade. Tell us about where we are in Pride Fort Lauderdale and where the organization is and what kinds of things are you up to?
Yeah, we loved having you. I renamed that actual road Gay 1A for the day. We thought that was really cool and fitting. So with Pride Fort Lauderdale, we have a lot of new things going on, including our GED program. And our GED program is funded by our fundraising efforts, like the car wash coming up this weekend at Dick's Service Station. We started this off a couple months ago over in Oakland Park, and Dick's has been a great partner for us. We've also done it at Lit and Alibi, and we raise about $1,300, and that pays for all of our laptops, the programs. We even have a trans tutor that helps the LGBTQ plus community get their GED, as well as we are working with Trans Social, and we have some trans students, and we've actually started the name change process, so their chosen name will now be their legal name, and that will match on their GED.
That's awesome. Beautiful. Kevin, I want to ask specifically, because I don't really ever recall LGBT 501c3 or organization embracing programs related to the equivalency degree programs, GED. Explain to us what exactly is Pride Fort Lauderdale doing there, and why did Pride Fort Lauderdale get involved in something like that?
So a couple months ago, before I was executive director, one of my friends had approached me and said that they were having issues finding programs, especially adult education scholarships for people, we're going to say a little bit older. There's lots of stuff that are for the younger.
Did you just call me old?
I didn't say old.
Is that, no.
A little bit. So, when
I'm sorry. That's all the time we have. I'm only kidding.
So we found something that, was missing in our community. When it comes to HIV services, there's so many things available to them, but when it comes to education, we found this was a missing piece to the puzzle. So our board unanimously agreed to bring this part of the education into our mission. So we changed our mission and everything, and we are focusing on education.
Yeah,
that's really great.
That's really awesome. And so the car wash is this Saturday. I've got to pull my car in.
Ooh, can I ask him something about the car wash?
Yes, you can volunteer, Faye. We need.
Yeah, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. You don't know this Latino.
Faye's boobs on the cars.
Oh, that's extra. I'm gonna get extra money for you there, Kevin. Okay, so car wash.
Okay.
My car is super dirty. All right.
Okay.
Tell me that the boys and the girls will be topless, and I will double pay.
Okay, so we are a family-friendly car wash. We do have a lot of males and females and transgender individuals washing cars, so come on out. We don't charge a specific amount. It is by donation only. We find that people are a little bit more generous when they find out it's going to education.
Oh, it's smart.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we'll have hot dogs and hamburgers there, too. We sell our wonderful Pride mask, and we'll also have Pride flags available as well.
Excellent. And we remind everybody, you're still selling masks on the website?
We are. If you just go to pridefortlauderdale.org, you can find, it's a link to our mask site. And if you're looking to apply for the GED program, you go to pridefortlauderdale/resources, and that begins the application process.
Absolutely. And I always draw attention to Pride Fort Lauderdale. They have had, in the past year, the most interesting embracement of pandemic mask. So many interesting LGBT masks that Pride Fort Lauderdale created, and it's great for support of Pride Fort Lauderdale and something that you have to do anyway. So as opposed to, however you get your mask, Pride Fort Lauderdale has great masks.
I bought a bunch. I bought a bunch for gifts at the beginning of the year.
Good
I bought the
swag.
bear one,
Very
which
nice.
was super cute with the claw.
That was you?
I didn't know that it was the bear one, but I love the colors on it. A little bear, and I got a kitty mom one, and I got the pride flag one, so I am hooked up. I got like 5 of them.
Yeah,
They're
thank you
awesome.
so much for your
Very
support.
nice.
That's great.
Now, Kevin, remind us one more time, the car wash this Saturday.
This Saturday at Dick's Service Station in Oakland Park, Florida, and it begins at 11 a.m. and ends at 2 p.m.
And that's between Commercial and Oakland Park Boulevard.
Correct.
On Dixie Highway.
Yep.
All right. Well, great. Pride Fort Lauderdale is going to roar back in 2021. Stay tuned. Kevin's the relatively new executive director now of Pride Fort Lauderdale. We're looking forward to just great things at the oldest Pride organization in Florida. And congratulations to your hire.
Did you just call me old?
I did call you old.
He did.
Dig for
And when we
dig.
get off the air, a lot worse. So thank you, Kevin, for being with us tonight at Queer News tonight.
And thank you for having
Oh,
me.
and by the way, Kevin's going to be an anchor tonight, host tonight at It's Happening Out.
Yes.
And then we can talk freely and the terrible things I'm going to say about Kevin Clevenger. So,
It would be the first time.
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thanks for being here, Kevin. All right, we're going to end tonight's broadcast with the big finish. These are today's silly or news that entertains the LGBTQ community. In the big finish, Joe Biden's obsession with LGBTQ rights apparently is hurting Christians, claims the Catholic League.
Oh, snowflakes. I'm going to get on my knees and pray for
Oh
them.
my God. Come on. Come on. Why are you obsessed with me? Come on. Are you serious? Religion isn't everything. I mean, come on.
Does anybody think it is absolutely humorous that the Christian community, the Catholic community, in this instance of the Catholic League, would suggest to the oppressed LGBTQ community for 5 decades, oh, the president's embracement of them is really hurting us. There's irony in this story.
I think that they're going to be a divided community, right? There's going to be the ones who are supportive and humane and the ones who are cuckoo.
Yeah, it's just amazing to me. All right, in the big finish, these signs made us laugh so hard we're all sweating about it. These are actually real signs that exist, and we're showing you some of the proofreading mistakes that some of the signs in America.
I love these. And I'm wondering if the employee who put these signs up still has a job. You know what I mean? Like, ride pickles are back. You know? My favorite was sorry for the inconvenience, but right now, we is out of hand.
Leave out of hand.
Well, and I think that some of these are like mistakes of employees, but they're also mistakes of, or not mistakes, pranks by people driving by, walking by, and like, flipping the letters around. And so I appreciate that they have some humor and they pull over and make sure that they rearrange the letters for us. It's
All
like
right.
playing
Well,
Scrabble.
let's give the Orlando Gonzalez benefit of the doubt high road to assume that that's how these signs are approved, or we completely embrace Pride Fort Lauderdale's GED education program commitment to try to improve the signs that we're seeing in the United States. A little education goes a long, long way. In the big finish, American Airlines is not denying this week's UFO spotting, and they say, please talk to the FBI. You've heard this story?
So I heard the audio. Did you guys hear the audio? So the pilot is like, hey, this cylinder long thing just flew over us. And I'm like, what? Flying dildos? What are you talking about? And then they're like, okay, so American Airlines, was it a UFO? Talk to the FBI. We don't know anything. We didn't see anything.
Right. So I can imagine the person answering the phone at the FBI like, hello, somebody from American Airlines just called me, told me to talk to you about the UFO. Like, what in the world is this diversion of phone traffic, right?
Well, it's tit for tat, basically, because if we can land on their planet with a rover, they can come to our planet. It's simple as that.
Mi casa es su casa.
Yes, exactly.
ET phone home. That is today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bells for updates. Share the news. We are the only television live video news that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of anchors Faye What and Orlando Gonzalez, we will see you daily and tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Good night, America.
Good night.